One moment. There we go. All right, guys, we're having a little difficulty with our setup right now. Do me a favor, in the chat window, let me know if you're able to hear me properly and making sure that everything is coming out nice and clear. Great. Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Vanelli. Now, our topic today is pretty cool. It's understanding layer mask versus a tool mask. And I'm going to go through all of that with you right after we take a moment to thank our partner. Fujifilm. Make images, share stories, and experience moments at the speed of life with Fujifilm. Thank you for staying at home with us. Great, guys. Well, welcome back. And Julie, thank you so much. The Zoom talk that we had last night is what inspired us to come up with this topic today. So let me share my screen with you. All right, so I'm going to dive right in. And here we are with, we're going to start out with Stacy here. And let me show you something that I did. Is I came over and I have three different brushes or masks we're going to deal with. The first one is going to be the Orton effect. So I'm going to come down here, and I already did a little bit of processing on this. To finish it off, I want to use the Orton effect, and I want to use type 2. Now watch this. I love what Orton does, but let me zoom in on the face. Look what it's doing to the eyes, though. You see how it's making everything nice and soft, and on the edges it's a little bit sharper, but the eyes are coming off a little too soft for my taste. So what I want to do here is come down to the edit mask, select brush, and I have to make a decision. Do I paint or erase? And that was a topic we were talking about yesterday. Do we paint in the effect or brush out the effect? Well, in this case right here, the situation we're dealing with is I have less to erase than I do to paint. So in that case, I'll select erase, and at 100% opacity, I'll get the brush size where I want it, and then I'm going to erase the effect on the eyes. And then I also want to erase the effect on the eyelash and under the nostrils. Good. And then, of course, the lips. All right. Now, notice, which I really like, it shows the layer as I'm painting, and then it disappears. So if I click on the visibility icon here, it shows me exactly the areas that are masked. So I'm going to come back over to the paint tool, and I'm going to paint back in just a few of the areas like this. There we go. All right. And done. So here's before and after. Before, after. One more time, I'm going to zoom in. Watch around her face and her hair. So here's the effect without it. Here's with it. But notice the eyes are never affected. And that's because we used the edit mask to paint the brush just out the effect on the eyes. All right. So now let's come over to the radial glow. Once again, I came over here and I did a little editing to the image. Now what I want to do is add like a soft glow to this. So under the creative tools, I'll click on glow. And I want to give it a generous amount. And dial back brightness just a little bit. Smooth it out. Good. So I love what it's doing to the flower. I don't want it to affect the rest of the area. So if I click on Edit Mask, this time I'm going to click on Radial Mask. And I'm going to draw the circle where I want it to be. Now, I'm going to purposely click Done. Now, if you notice, That's not where I wanted the mask. I want it to be the opposite. So if I come back, radial brush, under mask, I can click invert. Now if I show the mask, look where it's at. So that's the area I wanted it to affect, whereas before it was affecting the outside. So once you create a mask, you can always come back and readjust that mask. And then from here, I can even take a step further and copy it and apply it to another mask. So I have that set. Here's before, here's after, and here's that glow effect. Look how it's making the center, excuse me, the center of the flower nice and bright. All right, let's do one more. So those were tools. Each of the tools have the mask option. So now let's come over and do the same concept, but this time I want to do it to a layer. All right, so here is one of the images we worked with before. All I'm going to do is come over and let's apply the AI image enhancer. There we go. So now it applied it to the entire image, and these were the settings that were used. Now I have an option I can do. I can come in here and start adjusting individual tools and start applying the mask to individual tools, or leave it as is, and then I'm going to apply the layer mask. Now, since I put this on the bottom layer, the only option I have is to transform the layer itself, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to come down and select the original. This time, I'm going to create a new image adjustment. Now I'm going to apply the same effect. And here I have a choice for the amount. I can bring it back to 0, and every tool that's in that layer will be adjusted exactly the same amount here. So I'm going to leave that at 100%. And let's see. Yes, David asked, will that hold true if you stamp the layer? Yes. So I have that set here. Now what I'm going to do is click on Edit Mask. Now I'm going to brush, and I'm going to make my decisions here. I like where the guy is. I want, let's see, this area darker right here. So let's erase the effect. And I'm going to start, you know what? Let's start at 75%. A big brush. And all I'm doing is I'm going to come around and paint out the effect in certain areas. Look, ooh, right there, that's one. Now I can change the amount again. And let's say I want this to be maybe 10 to 12%. And I don't want it as strong on this area here. I can paint it out, maybe in the background just a touch, and maybe back in here. I want to beat that up just a little bit more. There we go. And make that just a touch darker. So, do you see what I'm getting at here? Is the layer mask is going to take into account all these tools that we're using and all the settings that we're using, and instead of me independently changing them, I can just come over here and, with the mask, brush out what I don't want and keep what I do want at that 100% that we're dealing with. So if I were to put, let's say, a black and white filter or conversion tool on this, you'll notice these areas here retain the color. This is where the black and white is. That right back here has a transparency. So that just gave you an idea of what that mask is actually doing. All right? Good. Let's see another question. Can we copy and paste mask from one tool to another? Yes, exactly. So let's go back to. I'm going to come back to Stacy here. All right. So with Stacy, we use the Orton effect. So let's give it a second to boot up. Here it is. Brush. So I want to see where the effect is. Okay. So look where it is. It's on her eyes and her lips. All right. So you notice where we have it set. So if we come back over to the radial one that we did earlier, and again, typically I would do this for the same images. Here's the brush tool. Let me look where it's at. Oh, wrong Orton, I'm sorry. It was, here we go, glow. There we are. All right, so right here is where the mask is. If I come down to the mask, I can copy it. Now let's go back over to Stacy. And we know that was the Orton effect. So give it a second to regenerate. There we go. And Orton's under the portrait tools. Now, right from here, edit mask. I can either that or I can just come up here, right click, and paste the mask. Oh, we didn't have paste on here. Let me try that one more time. So we were here. And in fact, let me grab the glow, edit, or actually, right click here, copy. That's what I should have done. So right here, I can just right click on it and copy instead of having to go into the mask. Now I can go back to Stacy. And we said that that one was the Orton effect. Second. Right click and paste it. Why it's not pasting? Brush. I'm going to do it over here. I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to fill the mask. So I have nothing in here just to show it. And I'm actually going to clear the mask. That's it. Good. All right, now let me paint it at 100% opacity. So here's where the mask is. Done. Now I'm going to copy that mask. And let's come back over to the radial soft glow. And from here, let's do something so we can see it. It's more obvious. Well, I'm going to use the Orton effect. Or actually, let's go back to the glow right here. Interesting. All right, so I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to reboot Luminar for a moment because yes, yes we can. And thanks for bringing that up. Yes, we can copy the mask one to the other. I typically do it when I'm working with the same type of images, so I don't have to recreate it. Here we go. So let's see why it's being temperamental. So I rebooted it just to see. And I'm going to come back down here under glow. And right here, so there's no mask right now. In fact, I'm going to reset this. I bet you that's what was happening. Good. Edit mask, brush. I want to paint in the effect at 100%. Here we go. And done. Right click, copy the mask. Now let's go back over to the other, excuse me, image. And it doesn't matter which tool it is, because the mask itself should be copied over. Here we go. So here's glow. And actually, we did the Orton effect with her, didn't we? Yep, here's Orton. I'm going to reset it just for the safe side. All right, brush. And it's not pasting in here. But yes, it can be done. I'm wondering why it's not doing it. So what I'm going to do real quick, since I have you guys with me, is I'm going to go back over. And guys, you're right. I'm glad when things don't go right. I'm bouncing back and forth on different versions of Luminar, so that's on my end. But we have the beta versions, the other one's coming out. So, but that could be one of the issues. But it can be done. And since I have you guys here for a few minutes, let me recreate it real quick. So I'm going to pop it back up again. So here's the glow effect. Got it? Edit mask, brush, paint in the effect at 100% opacity. Now I paint that glow effect, or actually when we erase the glow effect, just on her face right here. All right, so let's see it. There we go. Done. Right click. I can invert it. Yep, we did that. I can copy it, which we just saw. So you know what? Why don't we just stay with it here? It just dawned on me. And let's do this. There we go. Edit. And I hope somebody figured out. I just realized why it didn't do it. So if somebody can tell me before I come back to you, you'll get a kick out of it. All right, so here we are. I want to erase the effect, just here, for example. Done. Ready. Right click. Paste. And there it is. Invert. So, oh God, who was? Of course, it was Ingrid. Thank you so much. Yeah, guys, do you know why it didn't do it? Think about this. I moved from one image to a totally different image. That's why it didn't do it. So you can copy the mask, the tool mask. If you're working on that particular image, I can copy it and apply it when I'm inside of it. So let me just double check just to make sure if my theory was right. So you saw how it worked here. Yep, we were able to paste it, right? And we can invert it. But if I were to switch images, which we just did here, and it doesn't matter right here, notice the paste is not there. So that was the issue. So, yes, so it wasn't a glitch. It's, you can, if you're working on the same image, you can't copy the tools, the layer mask tools. So Nick, all right, so my buddy Nick is usually the one that catches all this stuff for me ahead of time and shoots me a little note quick. But yes, so that was it. It took me up until that one little section to realize, oh, I was switching from one image to another. So there you go. Well, that's something new that other people can see also, is on a layer mask or any of the other masks, it only works on the image that you're dealing with. So if you try to apply it to another image, it's not going to work outside of that. So there you have it. Tool mask. Think of tools as a local mask. So that's a local change. It's going to affect just a slight area. Think of a layer mask as a global change. It's going to affect the entire image equally all the way through. All right? Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and thanks for those questions. And like you said, I like it when you're experimenting with something that doesn't work right away. Now, if this were a recording, then I would just stop the recording, edit that stuff out, make a mental note, and move on. By doing it live, what's really good about this is you can see the thought process that goes behind it, and then what we just did together as a team, the troubleshooting steps to try to fix those problems. No matter what program we use, no matter what camera gear we use, we're going to run into issues. But the difference is, we as photographers and as and developers and editing software, or I'm sorry, retouchers, we have the ability to troubleshoot, fix the problem, and then the next time it happens, instantly remember, oh yeah, that happened before. Here's how I fix it now. So, once again, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.